guys, this is your second video. So I hope you watched yesterday's video. And I hope that you also got the directions to get out your state notebook, open to page 7, our political map, and you should have a ruler and a pencil. So if you don't have that, you can pause this right now. We're going to review from yesterday. We talked about boundaries. We have a lot of boundaries that surround our state. And let's review them from yesterday. So we have to the north, we have Wyoming. To the northeast, we have Nebraska. To the east, Kansas. To the southeast, Oklahoma. To the south, New Mexico. To the southeast, Arizona. And to the, did I say southeast? Southwest. And to the west, Utah. So those are our boundaries of Colorado. That means they all touch in some way to our state. This one we talked about being very special, so we're going to talk about that a little bit today if I remember. So right now you should have your page 7 open, and we are going to draw a map. So that's why you have your ruler. This is the size that I want you to make your map, and so you can see right here, it's not going to be too big, but it's also not going to be too small. So here's, pretend that I drew that right there. You're going to give yourself some room over here. Up there, obviously, you're going to have a lot more room down here, but make sure that you have the same amount of room on each side, pretty much the same amount. Okay, so it doesn't look like a perfect square. You can see that it's got a little bit coming out a little bit on either side. Not a perfect rectangle, I should say. So you're going to draw this size in your book. Okay, so it should be about that big. So you can use your ruler. Remember when we talked about using a ruler and drawing a map at all, you're going to go very light lines. So make it about that big. Okay, so very light lines, and that's what you're going to do right now. So if you could do that right now. You can pause the video to take your time and then unpause it when you're ready. All right, the next thing we're going to talk about is putting our boundary lines on our political map. And this is a political map. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. It has some cities, has some states, some rivers, lakes, other bodies of water. So we're going to put a few things on our map. And here is what we're going to draw. So let's pretend this is your page 7. Okay, you've got your outline of Colorado. And then we're going to draw just a bunch of lines to give us our boundaries. So I want you to notice when you're looking at a map, you're drawing a map and you're trying to be accurate. I want you to look up at the screen, and I want you to look at your book and up at the screen and look at your book. Don't just look at once and then just start going. Okay, so be accurate when you're drawing a map, as accurate as you can be. So remember, not very dark lines. You can always go back and make your lines darker if you can't see them when you think that it looks right. But just think, if you're drawing dark lines now and then you want to go erase it, it's not going to erase very well. So we're going to draw a line. If you'll notice that this line and this line are not exactly the same. This one comes in a little bit more for Nebraska up here. So you're going to draw your boundary line here and right about there for Nebraska. Then you're going to come down here right at the corner. You're going to draw out, and this is Oklahoma down here. You're going to draw your other line right here. Remember, that comes in a little bit more than this one that was out there, so take a good look right there. And over here, we talked about this special corner. Right here is your Arizona, just going to go straight out there. And then up here for Utah and Wyoming. So again, you can pause the video if you think we're going too fast and you need a little bit extra time. So just take your time and draw those. Okay? All right. Now we're going to go back and we're going to write the state. So let me show you. Make sure that you're using capital letters when you're writing your states. And so we have Wyoming up here. Take a good look at how you spell Wyoming. Nebraska might not fit, so kind of think about it before you start writing how big you want your letters. Nebraska. Then you're going to have Kansas. Oklahoma is another one that is pretty long, so be careful with capital O for Oklahoma. Then you're going to add New Mexico. Arizona. And Utah. Okay, now notice I didn't say Colorado, so you don't need to write Colorado in the middle. I just did that for yesterday's map. We're going to write some other things in the middle. So good thing you're using your pencil if you already wrote Colorado, if you were ahead of us. So don't write Colorado in the middle. All right, so you have your map, and you should have your lines, your boundary lines, and you should have your states labeled. And you'll notice that we have a star. Anybody think they might know what that star represents if you've ever seen a map of Colorado? That star represents our capital of Colorado, which is, we know this from learning our states and capitals, Denver. So I want you to kind of see where that star is. It's not directly in the middle, and it's certainly not in the middle over here either. So you're going to just draw a star. It doesn't have to look like mine. You're going to draw a star the way you know how to draw a star. Then above that, about 11 o'clock there, you're going to put a dot. These dots that you already see on this map represent cities, some kind of like larger cities in Colorado. So I want you to put a dot there. That dot represents Boulder. Okay, we don't need to write anything. We're just putting dots. Up here represents Fort Collins, where our school is. Down here, this dot, kind of notice where you drew your star, and then kind of just go down. This dot represents Colorado Springs. This dot here, a little bit further down, represents Pueblo. This dot out here represents Glenwood Springs. This dot out here, almost by our western border, Grand Junction. It's a place that people like to go biking in Grand Junction. They're known for their, in this area, they're known for their peaches. That's where we get our, remember when we were in 3rd grade and we got dictionaries? Remember how they had bought those dictionaries for us? They went out and sold boxes of peaches. And those peaches were Palisade peaches. Palisade, Colorado is over in this area, and this is well known for growing delicious peaches. So when they brought over their boxes of peaches over the mountains, because these are all the mountains here in our Colorado, this is flat over here. When they brought those peaches over and they sold boxes of peaches, they got money. And the money provided dictionaries for all the 3rd grade classes in Fort Collins. So that's where the peaches came from and the money came from for our dictionaries. Okay, so this was Grand Junction. And then down here is Durango. Okay, so you just have dots. And let's just review one more time. I'm going to say it again, and I'll say it, and then you say it in your head or out loud. So we have, of course, our capital is Denver. Then up here we have Boulder. Up here is Fort Collins. Down here is Colorado Springs. That's 2 words, by the way, just like Fort Collins is 2 words. Pueblo. Glenwood Springs. That is also 2 words. For some reason, I all of a sudden didn't think it was called Glenwood Springs. I've been there a lot. Maybe some of you have been there for, let's see, there's a place called Marble, Colorado. That's where we get a lot of our marble statues and things that are in Washington, D.C. come right out of Marble, Colorado, which is a little tiny town right here, right along the river. You'll see pieces of marble. And they take that and they make different things that you can see in Washington, D.C. made out of the marble from Colorado. So that's pretty cool. So that's Glenwood Springs. This is Durango down here. And then we have Grand Junction. Okay. Well, I wanted to show you some rivers. I think I'm going to show you those rivers tomorrow. So let's see what else we could talk about today. Oh, our interstates. We're not going to draw it, but I wanted to show you if you're going north to Wyoming or south to New Mexico, you would go along our interstate. We call it Interstate 25. So Interstate 25 goes north and south. Then if you want to go through the mountains, which is actually a beautiful highway, which I try to avoid highways a lot because I like scenery, but this is actually a beautiful highway. And we have I-70 that comes out here. And that just comes out here and can take it into Utah. So we have I-25 going up and down, and we have I-70 going out there. All right. So let me show you some things Durango is famous for. Durango, down here, we have some national parks in Colorado. So let me talk a little bit about some national parks. We have, down here, we have Mesa Verde. Let me show you a picture of Mesa Verde. Maybe some of you have been here before, but here's some cliff dwellings. And you get to go there. If you get a chance, you get to go and you can go in some of those buildings, some of those ruins, you could say. And people were building way back when, right there in that cliff. It was probably a lot cooler, protected them from the rain. And so that's pretty cool. That's Mesa Verde. Then we also have the Great Sand Dunes National Park. I don't know if some of you have been there. It's gorgeous sand dunes and mountains, all in one beautiful scenery. Maybe you've looked out your window when you're going down I-25 and you've seen our mountain range and you've seen Long's Peak. Have you ever seen Long's Peak before? So that's pretty cool. If you ever get a chance, maybe it's outside of your house window. Maybe you could see it when you're going down I-25. So there's Long's Peak. Long's Peak is a 14er. A 14er means that it is a mountain that is over 14,000 feet. So that's pretty tall. Usually a 14er has snow on it sometime late into May and June, and sometimes it can snow in July and August on a 14er because a 14er is over 14,000 feet. And in Colorado alone, we have 54 14ers. That's a lot of mountains over 14,000 feet. And Long's Peak happens to be our closest 14er that you can see probably from your town that you live in. And it's pretty cool if you ever get a chance to maybe hike part of it or hike to the top. That'd be a pretty cool thing to do. But a lot of people, what they do is they have kind of like you could say a hobby, and their hobby is to hike all the 14ers. And so they just go around and they hike to the top of a 14er, and then they cross it off their list and say, okay, I'm going to go climb another 14er. Maybe not on the same day, although you can climb 14ers, a couple, 2 to 3 in a day, depending on how motivated you are. But a lot of these 14ers are climbed in the summer, mostly because, like I said, there's a lot of snow on top of them for a very long time. So it's a little less dangerous if there isn't snow up there, ice up there. And so a lot of people do that for a hobby. So that's something that you could look into maybe. I told you that I was going to mention down here where Arizona is. We have Arizona, just a little teeny tip here. We have New Mexico, we have Utah, and we have Colorado. Did you know that right here in this very spot is the only spot where 4 states come together? And we call that the Four Corners. And here's a picture of the Four Corners. If you ever get an opportunity to come down here and visit this part of Colorado, you might want to check out a place called Four Corners. You could stand in all 4 states using your hands as well at the same time. So you put, a foot in New Mexico, a foot in Arizona, a hand in Utah, and a hand in Colorado, and you can be in 4 states at once. So we call that the Four Corners. So I thought that was pretty cool. So that's something that you can visit, maybe if you're on vacation in Colorado, in the southwest portion. All right, let's see what else we should talk about today. Well, I think that's it for our political map right now. We'll talk about our physical map a little bit more. That's going to be a little trickier, but we'll do that. And I think that's all for today. So you had a 17-minute lesson today. All right, I heard from a couple of you, and hopefully hopefully this afternoon, I will hear from a lot of you with our Artie book. It's not a mandatory thing. One of the moms asked me that. It's something that if you would like to participate at 2:30 on Zoom, hopefully you'll have that set up by then. All right, see you then. Bye.